This video is a comment response to my own comments, so the original commenter can just delete their comment if they want to and get their name off this. But on my last video, I got a few comments about anthropomorphizing. The one I was going to respond to was still anthropomorphism. There's nothing significant about the sensory experience of a derivative in a scientific sense. And I want to start by thanking the commenter, because I was struggling to come up with something to make a video about today, and this is going to be fun. This guy doesn't know what anthropomorphism is. And maybe you don't either. It's kind of a nuanced topic with a deceptively simple definition. To anthropomorphize is to attribute human-like qualities to a thing that is not human. My favorite example of this was a nutrition class I was in a long time ago. The professor was explaining that enzymes break down proteins, and a student asked, what if they don't want to? What was happening here is that the student was anthropomorphizing. Partially because the professor had done a bad job of explaining what enzymes were, leading the student to think of them as tiny creatures, and partially because the student assumed that these tiny creatures had a complex inner life, that breaking down proteins was their job, and that they could feasibly get bored and change careers, or go on strike for being overworked, or make decisions of any kind about how they interact with enzymes. Now, metaphor is an inherently unstable way to understand something, and if you really want to know what proteins do, ask a biologist. Probably you should take a class. Maybe get a degree. But to present a metaphor that highlights the way that the specific student was wrong. If you drop a sheet of glass on an upward pointed spike, the spike does not choose to shatter the glass. The glass will probably shatter, and the spike will probably heavily influence the way in which that glass shatters. But the spike did not exercise agency. In more or less the same way, to the best of my understanding, that's the relationships those enzymes have to the corresponding protein. It's just a fact of their respective shapes that when they collide, one will be transformed by the other. It's things like this that make a general caution against anthropomorphism a really good idea when you're learning about or thinking about things that aren't human. However, it's very possible to take that caution too far. When we caution against, for example, thinking of a dog as loving a human or a bird as proud of its nest, when we call that anthropomorphizing, we're making a pretty huge claim there, that love or pride is strictly experienced by humans. Neither cognitive science, nor linguistics, nor philosophy are even confidently capable of defining those things, never mind proving that they're exclusive to humans. It's not unreasonable to caution against potentially misunderstanding non-human agents by projecting human psychology onto them, but to go as far as to call it anthropomorphizing, to claim that other things have experiences because humans also have experiences, is well beyond reasonable. In a lot of cases, anti-anthropomorphism just amounts to human exceptionalism, policing the borders of what we permit ourselves or others to believe distinguishes us from other animals. And when you do that, you're not being logical or scientific or enlightened. You're being a dick.